Who is the biggest threat to every single UFC champion? We're going to be answering all that and more in today's video. Starting with the heavyweight division, Jon Jones is currently the champion, and I believe Tom Aspinall absolutely obliterates Jon Jones. I mean, if we look at historically, Jones has struggled against opponents with his similar frame. He got his ass whooped by Dominic Reyes and Alexander Gustafsson. Looking back at it, the Reyes win is actually aging quite beautifully, but Jon Jones has really made a career in fighting these undersized lightweights, if you will, pretty much middleweights in today's era. And what did both of those opponents have in common that gave Jon Jones his hardest trouble? They both were great on the stand-up, great boxing technically, and they also were able to defend a takedown. And Tom Aspinall is able to do all that and more. He's the more physical guy, he's stronger, he's faster, and he's a better boxer than Jon Jones, which has always been Jon Jones' weakness, his boxing defense. He primarily relies on his length and reach to defend. And in the old man Stipe fight, he was hit clean and flushed with some of these punches, and if Aspinall's able to land the same punch on your chin, he's getting put to the canvas. Moving on to the light heavyweight division, the current champion is Magomed Ankalaev, and in my opinion, the biggest threat to Magomed Ankalaev is Alex Pereira. And I know what you might be thinking, he did just beat Alex Pereira in a pretty dominant fashion if you ask me. But if we're being honest, the light heavyweight division is a little bit stale right now. I know we're looking at the resurgence of Dominic Reyes. I guess we'll have to see where he's at in the next 1 or 2 wins. But besides Old Man Blachowicz and Paul Craig, Alex Pereira was the opponent to give Magomed Ankalaev his toughest test. Going into this fight, I was under the impression that if Alex Pereira is able to keep it on the feet, he's going to be able to outstrike Magomed Ankalaev, and that simply just was not the case, at least in the first fight. But going into the second fight, anything can happen. Alex Pereira always has a puncher's chance, and he has just stone hands, Poetan, like his nickname. He even caught Ankalaev in the 5th round with a head kick. And although Magomed Ankalaev had a good poker face and played it off, that won him the 5th round. And a striker that's able to defend all the takedowns and is able to strike and have one-punch power is what's needed to defeat Magomed Ankalaev. Moving on down the list, the middleweight champion is Dricus du Plessis, and the biggest threat towards Dricus du Plessis is Khamzat Chimaev. This fight will be as close to 50-50 as possible. Will Dricus du Plessis be able to survive the first round against Khamzat Chimaev, which not even Robert Whittaker was able to do? This will be the first matchup in Dricus du Plessis' UFC title run where he isn't the more physical guy. He doesn't have the strength advantage against Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, look at the way he's been ragdolling all of his past opponents in the first round. Although I believe that du Plessis has a significantly higher chance if the fight leaves the second round. That's only if the fight leaves the second round against Khamzat Chimaev. And the current champion for the welterweight division is... what's his name again? No, I'm just playing. In all seriousness, the current champion is Belal, remember the name, Muhammad. And the biggest threat to his title run is Islam Makhachev. I mean, if we're being honest, Islam Makhachev can fare very well against all of these welterweight opponents. And I don't know if it was Belal Muhammad just being humble, or he was saying that Islam Makhachev just ragdolls him in the training room. I believe this is the fight where Belal Muhammad's not going to be able to take down Islam Makhachev. And even though we'll probably never see this fight, Belal Muhammad's biggest threat is going to be Islam. I mean, look at the current state of the welterweight division. Do you really think JDM, that was losing the whole fight against Gilbert Burns, he was getting out-grappled the whole fight? And that is Belal Muhammad's bread and butter. He was only able to win the fight due to a Hail Mary knee. And you know what they say, lightning doesn't strike the same place twice. Not only does Islam Makhachev have better grappling than Belal Muhammad, he also has better striking. I mean, he's definitely leveled up his striking in a way where he's able to knock out Alexander Volkanovski. He's able to go through an all-out war against Dustin Poirier, one of the best boxers currently in the UFC. And if Belal Muhammad ends up winning against JDM, Islam Makhachev should move up anyways. I mean, you have to put your own career first. And I mean, it's not like Belal Muhammad and him are long-term training partners. I believe this just happened within the last maybe 2 years. And for the lightweight division, you guys already know how I feel about this. I've been campaigning for Islam Makhachev to fight Ilia Topuria for about a year now. At first it was a dream matchup, but now it's looking like that it can potentially come to reality. And the thing about Islam Makhachev, what makes him such a great champion is that he tries to beat you at your own game. He submitted the submission artist in Charles Oliveira. He knocked out the greatest featherweight of all time on the feet in Alexander Volkanovski. He went to war with Dustin Poirier. I mean, this guy, what can he do? Being so open to the challenge, this might be the downfall of Islam Makhachev, because against Ilia Topuria, all it takes is just one punch to connect and he will knock your lights out. Especially in the pocket with his pocket boxing against Islam Makhachev, where even Alexander Volkanovski was giving Islam troubles in the first fight. We are looking at the hardest hitting 155er in the history of UFC, and I'm not sure how Islam Makhachev's chin will hold up against that. For the featherweight division, the current champion, all is good in MMA again. The current champion is Alexander Volkanovski, and the biggest threat to him is John Silva. I know he barely broke into the rankings against Bryce Mitchell, but the performance that he put on against Bryce Mitchell was nothing short of spectacular. Was definitely something that I was not expecting, at least on my end. I thought Bryce Mitchell was going to be able to out-grapple him, and this is Alexander Volkanovski's toughest test. I'm not too sure if we're going to be able to see this fight, because it seems like, I know Alexander Volkanovski said he wants to fight a lot more, but it seems like he already has one foot out the door. And against someone like John Silva, who's able to defend the takedowns, who's able to have these slick submissions that we haven't seen him showcase in the UFC before, could 100% give Alexander Volkanovski some troubles on the feet and on the ground. Maybe not find his neck. I mean, the only person that's been able to do that is Ortega. I think Volkanovski's still trying to find his neck. No, but in all seriousness, against an aging Volk, a slower Volk that we saw in the Diego Lopez fight, Volkanovski's still the champion. When he gets to the top of the division, it could be the passing of the guard, We've always seen it from time and time again, against Israel Adesanya, against DDP, Israel Adesanya against Alex Pereira, passing of the guard, Anderson Silva, Israel Adesanya, passing of the guard. Time and time again, Father Nature, age is always undefeated. No, Volk is our boy. I mean, who doesn't like Volkanovski? Moving on down in the Bantamweight division, we have Merab Dvalishvili, and his biggest threat to his title run is Umar Nurmagomedov. I mean, this first fight could have went either way, and though Merab was able to eke out the split decision victory and take Umar Nurmagomedov's O, he gave Merab his toughest test to this day. I mean, he was able to defend the takedowns for the first 3 rounds until he started gassing out in the championship rounds. And no other bantamweight has put on the showing like Umar did against Merab. I mean, if you look at all of Merab's past opponents, he's completely ragdolled them. He's 50-45 Piotr Yan. He completely outclassed Sean O'Malley, except for in the 5th round where O'Malley caught him with the body kick and it hurt. But besides that, there was no moments in that fight. As the Merab and Umar fight number 1, this was the first fight where Merab didn't come out unscathed. He had a bunch of bruises on his face. Umar was able to put hands on him in the first 3 rounds. Don't get me wrong, the rightful winner was Merab, but he barely eked out that decision against Umar with a broken hand. And moving on to the last and final champion, the flyweight champion is Alexandre Pantoja, and his biggest threat to his title run is going to be Kai Kara-France. I know back in the day, Alexandre Pantoja did defeat Kai Kara-France on the Ultimate Fighter, I believe it was, and it's not every day that you see a flyweight that's able to have one-punch knockout power. I mean, this is pretty out of the ordinary. I mean, besides Davison Figueiredo and Kai Kara-France, name at least another flyweight that's able to put you out cold against high-level competition. The downfall with Pantoja is he relies on his chin quite a bit when he fights, and you never want to rely on your chin. That should be the last resort. You should always rely on your defense and then your chin, but Pantoja likes to slug it out in the pocket, and that will not be a wise idea against Kai Kara-France, especially taking into consideration how much damage Alexandre Pantoja has taken in all of these fights. I mean, he's wiped out the top, 10? Multiple times, and like I said, age is always undefeated. Nobody has been able to escape it, and Pantoja's getting up there, if we're being honest. already 35 years old in the flyweight division, and you know, being old in age never goes well with being in the lower weight classes. I mean, I know Volkanovski did recently break the curse, the 35-year-old curse, in winning his belt back against Diego Lopez, but you know, an exception doesn't set the standard. That's gonna be all I have for you guys in today's video. Let me know who you think is the biggest threat to each champion in the comment section below.